Okay. So I guess if you could maybe just start by kind of explaining what your job
What we do.
is. Yeah.
Well, we're the Taxpayer Advocate Service for
Right.
Internal Revenue Service, and my name is Gayvial James. I'm the local taxpayer advocate for Hawaii and the Pacific U.S. territories, that
Okay.
include Guam, American Samoa,
Right.
CNMI. And what we do is we deal with the problems that people have that they have not been able to resolve through the normal channels at IRS.
Okay.
So, and then we also have some criteria for hardship. If something that the IRS has done that has created a hardship, financial hardship for you,
Okay.
then we can assist. In a lot of instances.
Okay. Can you maybe give me an example of a hardship that?
Sure. For example, maybe a levy, you owe money, and there's a levy on your wages. You know, there's
Yeah.
been somebody assigned,
Okay.
so they're collecting and they send a levy to, and so that means we take money from your paycheck
Right.
for your taxes. Well, if that is creating a hardship, and by hardship we mean you don't have the money to for necessary living expenses, which is food, clothing, shelter,
Right.
transportation.
Right. Okay.
So you have to come into the program. You just have to call us up and say, hey, I've got this levy. It's causing me a financial hardship. I need some help. And we take it into the program, and then we determine if we can give relief, which means we'll have to have documented evidence that you have bills that aren't being paid, and take some financial information to see if you are in the red, and if that's causing it. Then what we do is negotiate with the IRS to determine if we can either do a partial relief and get you more money, the money you need to take care of your monthly expenses,
Okay.
or if it's so bad, we ask that they just release the levy.
Okay.
And then we still have to, advise, of course, the person about
Right.
the balance due, and try to maybe get them on an installment agreement or
Right. For
something.
future
Yeah.
finances, so
Yeah.
they can handle it themselves. Okay.
Right.
And are you guys usually successful at getting that relief when a person comes to you?
We usually are, as long as we have the documented evidence. That's what really is the key. So when people come to us, we have to tell them, you got to give me financial information. You got to
Right.
give me a copy of bills that show, you're going to have your lights are going to be turned off, or your water's going to be turned off, lights going to be disconnected. They're going to repossess your car, things like that.
Right. Okay.
So that we have a strong case when we go to the IRS and say,
Okay.
hey, we need this relief.
Okay. And so do you guys deal with all kinds of taxes
We
and
do,
sort of? Because I know you
personal
mentioned
and business. We
Okay.
do.
All right. And about how often would you say do you guys regularly get people like calling up saying, hey, they're saying I owe money that I don't owe, or
Well, I mean, it's a daily thing.
it's a daily thing?
It's a daily thing.
Okay.
We get calls, we get cases we do have a national toll-free number
Right.
for the taxpayer advocate. And if the zip code, is Hawaii or the territories, that will come to our office.
Okay.
We also work congressional cases where if you write your congresswoman, man or woman,
Right.
regarding your taxes, then that gets assigned to us.
Okay.
If it's Hawaii.
Right.
So.
Okay. So I noticed you mentioned like relief if the person, just has bills that they haven't paid that they physically, just don't have the money to pay right now. Do you guys ever encounter cases where the person's been either subpoenaed or they're receiving these letters or phone calls or emails, and then it turns out that the IRS has made some sort of mistake and they don't in fact owe that?
We have, yeah.
Okay.
And then when we do that, then we correct the account, and if there's a refund due, we get them their money back. That kinds of thing. But yes, we do, and it happens a lot here in Hawaii in the territories.
Okay.
Because they don't have a filing requirement with the Internal Revenue Service.
In both Hawaii and the U.S. territories?
No, just in Guam.
Yeah,
Guam.
In Guam. Okay.
And so, if they filed in Guam, paid in Guam, and for some reason they have an assessment here, then we, work to clear that up.
Okay. So you would say that Guam, that's where it happens most often?
Most often.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That. But, anything can happen, and there are instances where, we've assessed something that maybe shouldn't have been, or they were in an audit and maybe didn't weren't able to provide the information at the time or didn't get the notice because they moved or something of that nature. And if they bring in the additional information, we can get it over to examination division for them to take another look. And sometimes that results in abatements and refunds of money.
Okay. And about how often would you say those refunds are given when in that case?
If it's warranted, I mean, it's hard to kind of give you
I know, but just like a rough estimate. I know you don't have paper sitting in front of you to kind of verify it, but
I don't know, maybe 50% of the time.
Okay. All right. And you would say that this is typically happening more in the territories and Hawaii than the rest of the country?
As far as, the having balanced dues that shouldn't be there, it happens more, because they don't have the filing requirement.
Okay.
And so a lot of times it's identity theft or something like that where they've been, return has been filed under their social security number for what?
Okay.
And
is that all U.S. territories that don't have the filing requirement?
No, that's not all. They all have different requirements. So
interesting.
That's just Guam they mirror our tax code.
Okay.
So they have their own tax system that's just like ours. So if they file there, that is their filing jurisdiction, and they should not be filing with us. And there's some instances, like if they're self-employed or something like that, they may have to file. But it wouldn't be a 1040. If they have a filing requirement in Guam, it would be just a 1040 SS for the Social Security piece and that kind of thing. But there are just a lot of different regulations regarding the territories, and each one is pretty much a little bit different. Yeah. So, and really, we don't have jurisdiction for the actual territory tax issues. It's when it affects them with IRS that we get involved.
Because you guys are the closest IRS.
Because we're IRS,
All right.
And we are the closest.
Okay. And so, do you guys, I guess, because there tend to be different rules for each territory regarding how they file it, some of them don't even have them, like you said, with Guam. Because of that, do you guys, I guess, maybe operate your office differently than they do? Like, how do you, I guess...
Than a mainland office?
Yeah, sort of like, how do you, I guess, make, as you realize that there's a higher frequency of those cases here than there is on the mainland, how does that affect sort of your business as you?
Oh, well, I mean, we just work the inventory as it comes in. We don't send out Guam cases. We work them here, because of the issues and the problems involved. We do have a few people on the mainland within our area, which is like California, Alaska, that there are about 3 people that we have trained on some basic Guam issues. Okay. And they will help us if we get, inundated, because we've had times where we've gotten, have 100 cases, and my 2 case advocates are overwhelmed, so we can send them to them if we need to. But for the most part, we try to keep all of our local stuff, the Hawaii stuff and the territory stuff. If our inventory is down here, we're on the receiving end from California or other states. Yeah, so that's kind of how our inventory works to keep it balanced throughout the nation.
Right.
Okay. But our, all offices are a little bit different because of the geographical issues. Some states have more problems. Some states are community property states. They have those issues. Some states are in where they have maybe a lot of issues with social security numbers from people coming into the country and things like that. So it just kind of depends, on where you are as to what your major issue is for your office.
Okay. And then I guess maybe one of my last questions would be when you mentioned like that you guys deal with all sorts of different types of taxes, whether it's property or income or any that type of thing that people may need to refute. In those situations where the IRS subpoenas someone on accident, meaning that they actually didn't owe that much or they didn't owe anything at all maybe, what kind of tax do you see that with most? Is that mostly with property taxes or is that mostly with utilities? Or?
Well, we only deal with income tax.
Tax.
The federal income tax as far as fixing those problems.
Okay.
Now, if with say, for instance, if there's a lien filed against the property that they own, because of the balance due, and it's not a good balance due, then we make sure that gets off of the record,
Okay.
of the bureau and that kind of thing. So we kind of fix everything, but we don't actually work, like property tax issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have sort of a general idea of where those errors occur most often? Which type of tax? Even if you don't necessarily work with it personally.
Well, for us, it's just it's gonna be income tax.
Income is most often. Okay.
Yeah, whether it's individual or a business owner.
Okay.
It's gonna be if it's businesses, usually it's the what we call trust fund taxes,
right?
Which is your withholding.
Yeah, my parents.
Yeah.
Have
So if they don't pay,
okay.
then because your employees are going to claim that money, when they file, and if you haven't paid it into the IRS, then that creates a problem. Of course, the employee is going to get their refund. We're not going to penalize them, but we will make an assessment against the individual that did not make those payments. So we see a lot of that with the business. With the personal, most of the time, it's if they owe, it's either they were maybe self-employed or something like that, or they didn't have enough withholding. Sometimes it's just that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
I appreciate it.